rupee is falling with respect to the dollar, even when the dollar is falling across the world. The collapse of this whole Make in India program, when the foreign investor is looking for new countries to go to, why is she not coming to India? You don't want to go into a country where the people are getting lynched. Indian industry has stopped investing in India in the last 7-8 years. This appeal has nothing to do with 95% of India that earns less than 65,000 rupees a month. We have a prime minister who, as somebody said, is a magician. Even if you think 5 in 100 people are going to listen to him, that's a huge thing.
Hello and welcome to In Context. I am Charu Karthike. This is the third and the final episode of my podcast with noted economist Dr. Amir Ullah Khan on the stunning appeals made to the country by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In this episode, we decode the political and economic signals emanating from the Prime Minister's statements. Here we go.
About the current account deficit itself, Amir, tell me a little more. What does it have to do with what the Prime Minister said?
All right, let's make it very simple. We all want to make everything in the country. There are certain things we can't do, like we cannot produce gold. We cannot produce crude oil. We don't have crude oil. Even if we have, the quality is very poor and the cost of drilling it is very high. So therefore, we have to import crude oil. Now, if we have to import 100 rupees of crude oil, where are we going to get that 100 rupees from? Because the person who's selling to us wants the 100 rupees in dollars. So we need to export something worth $1 to get 100 rupee worth of oil. Now, what is happening, what has been happening over the last 6, 7, 8 years is that our imports have been growing like never before. We have been importing more and more every year and more from China every year. And our exports, paradoxically, have been reducing every year. We are buying $100 worth of things from outside India, but we are only able to sell things worth 60 rupees. So that 40 rupee gap is what is called the current account deficit.
If you found Dr. Khan's views interesting so far, then please stay tuned because much more is on the way. Do like and share this video and subscribe to In Context.
Now, where are you going to get those $40 from? Those $40 will either come from poor NRIs who are working away in Kuwait and Bahrain and Oman and some software company in the US, or they are going to come from foreign institutional and foreign direct investors who are no longer very confident about India, who have been leaving India for the last so many years. The third is when we go and buy dollars. Now, whenever we go and buy dollars abroad, that creates a demand for the dollar. And the demand for the dollar results in the dollar value going up. And that is what is happening. We have the dollar going from 60 rupees to 95 rupees today. It is among the worst, possibly the most poorly performing currency in the world right now. Our rupee is falling with respect to the dollar, even when the dollar is falling across the world. So you can imagine it is such a poor performing currency. The collapse of this whole Make in India program, where manufacturing, which used to be about 17% of GDP, now down to 13%, has added pressure to the trade deficit or the current account deficit. If the dollar becomes more and more expensive, our import bill keeps rising more and more, despite the fact that we are not getting more. We were buying 1 kilo of gold for 1,000 rupees. Now we are buying the same 1 kilo of gold for 1,500 rupees because the value of the rupee has fallen down. So therefore, a weak currency, the foreign investors going away, NRI repatriation coming down, have all together resulted in a situation where the rupee has become as weak as 95 to a dollar. We could never have imagined. Very recently, it was 50 rupees to a dollar, which means it lost by about 100%. So there is a tremendous pressure on the Reserve Bank of India and its foreign exchange reserve. There is a huge pressure on the rupee as it keeps sliding down. There is a big pressure on the stock market as foreign investors, both in portfolio and direct investment, withdraw money and go away. While all the time, because of a very solid growth rate, we are the fastest growing economy in the world. And because we are the fastest growing economy in the world, we need to keep importing more and more.
Right.
Just what we shouldn't be doing is what we have to do. So therefore, when we buy Rafale jets, when we buy big expensive cars, when we buy aeroplanes, we have to import them. When we buy bullet trains, we have to import them. And when we import them, we are putting further pressure on the rupee, which becomes further weakened.
If you found Dr. Khan's views interesting so far, then please stay tuned because much more is on the way. Do like and share this video and subscribe to In Context.
So the crux of this, just to say it out loud, is that uh, the situation that we are in right now indicates at least two things: that the government has failed on both fronts. One is to increase exports, and the other is to reduce imports. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, you cannot reduce imports. The only way out is to increase exports. But
Right.
by dampening the industrial environment, you see, and here let us be brutal. What is happening? Why is it that today, when the foreign investor is looking for new countries to go to, for looking at new countries where she can manufacture from, why is she not coming to India? It is the world's largest market. It is 1.5 billion people. It is growing at 6.5% faster than any other country. Then why are people preferring to go to Vietnam or even Bangladesh? And that is because the kind of atmosphere that we have in the country is scary. You don't want to go into a country where the people are getting lynched, or where the Supreme Court is weakened, where you don't have an effective democratic mechanism. The people do shudder and do not go there.
Right.
Forget foreigners. Why is Indian industry not investing in India? Indian industry has stopped investing in India in the last 7, 8 years. Indian industry is investing in Tanzania and in Botswana. That is the serious problem. And that is something we have to address. It is right. It is good, as I said right in the beginning. It is good to ask people to be careful about what they spend. It is right to tell them that we have a situation at hand, we have a problem at hand, and we will all together solve it. It is wrong to tell them that you solve it while we will spend the money. That is what is unfair about this whole proposal.
Yeah. And even the solutions that are being proposed, Amir, I'm not sure how much will those solutions work out. I'm not sure how many people are going to listen to the prime minister and stop buying gold. I'm not sure how many people will listen to the prime minister and stop going abroad. I'm not sure how many companies will listen to him and start their work from home. The IT companies, which had just recently started ending their work from homes, and they were so particular about asking their employees to come back to office. I don't know. I don't know how are they going to respond to what the prime minister has appealed. So far, it is only appeal. No decree has been issued, or no order has been issued by the government. But I don't know how much of these solutions are going to be followed. These proposals are going to be followed.
Arun, we have a very strong, very persuasive, very popular prime minister. What he says is gospel to a lot of, at least 35% of them. They are going to listen. You must understand that what we've seen in the last 12 years is that we have a prime minister who, as somebody said, is a magician. But that when he speaks, he holds people spellbound. When he asks people to do things, when he asked people to go out there and bang utensils and say, go Corona, go, you had Amitabh Bachchan doing it. I mean, you had scientists and teachers doing it. So he has a certain presence, he has a certain voice. And that is reflected in the fact that as soon as he said it, stocks fell, because people knew that because he was saying, don't go to Hawaii, Charu will postpone his Hawaiian holiday. And when he says that, don't buy gold, then Charu will persuade his son to not buy gold more. There is
Uh,
a, yeah, there is, I mean, one can't discount that. Now, will everybody do it? But it'll have, see, in such a big country with billions of dollars of sales and demand, even if it falls by 5%, that's a huge fall.
yeah.
Even if you think 5 in 100 people are going to listen to him, that's a huge thing. Imagine if you are running a hotel and demand fell by 5% tomorrow.
Right. And Amit, my last question is, are the prime minister's statements really indicative of something else? I mean, we've discussed what they mean on the face and what deeper
Yeah.
implications do they have. But are they? I get a sense of foreboding that he's probably there's something that he's not saying, or it is indicative of something, of a situation that we could soon be landing in. Something probably a direction that we are headed towards, or maybe a deeper crisis could be looming in the near future, to which these statements hint towards. Your take on that?
Yeah, and now I'm just being a very lay person. Now I'm not being an economist and answering you. This is a very difficult question to answer. I'm just as a concerned citizen. Two things that emerge from what he said. The first is this wariness, this knowledge that we are running out of petrol, we are running out of fuel, and that fuel prices are going up, and that is causing hurt to the economy. Therefore, I have no choice but to increase fuel prices. So therefore, what I do is that I put the blame on you. Look, you're not reducing your consumption. What can I do? You're forcing me to increase prices. If you had reduced consumption, I need not have it. So that's one. The second and the very interesting thing that is happening, that one can read from here, if I were looking at politics from a very behavioral point of view, I think what is coming across is an understanding of the political pulse that nobody can beat the prime minister on his, however much you like him or don't like him. What you have to admit is that there is no reader of the political pulse like the prime minister of our country. He knew when religion was important. He knew when it was important to spread, animosity towards another religion, animosity towards the Bangladeshi. He knew, and he knew how much to do. Here, I think, is an acknowledgement of an understanding that the poor in India, and I'm making this statement, as a hypothesis. So if you don't agree with it, I'm perfectly happy. In you meaning all the viewers. I think it's an acknowledgement of his understanding that the poor in India care less about their poverty than about Charu's impending poverty. Charu is this rich guy who they are seeing, who's driving a big car, who is flying around. And you know what? Sure, now you have to stop driving your car because the prime minister has stopped the car. For me, it makes no difference. I'm walking around and I'm going on my cycle in any case. But you better stop driving your big car. You better stop flying. I have not flown. 96% of India has never flown. Now you should stop. You should stop going to these fancy hotels. So, that's what happened in demonetization. If you saw that whole UP election, what were people saying? Yeah, these fellows who have cash, good for them. I have to stand in a queue for 8 hours to get my money, no problem. But this big bungalow fellow who had to burn his cash, that's what Modi ji has done. I think that he has understood that this is see, look at the things. Who buys gold? Who travels abroad? Who uses fuel? What percentage of India? Which class of India? 95%. This appeal has nothing to do with 95% of India that earns less than 65,000 rupees a month. Right? 95% of India earns less than $8,800 a month. They don't buy a gold. They don't go around, flying off to Istanbul or to Maldives, and they don't drive expensive cars. So, and they don't have to worry about working from home or not working from home. The 95% is perfectly happy that this is a punishment to you guys, the 5% who have been flaunting your wealth, your foreign holidays, and your dollars.
Right. Interesting, Amir. So the first impact has been the stock market. I don't know whether that was intended or not. Let's see what other impact do the Prime Minister's statements have, and then maybe we could catch up once again to take a look at
Yeah.
how is the situation unfolding. But thank you, Amir. On that note, thank you so much for your time.
Well, that's all I have for you in this podcast. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section. Share this video with your friends and family. And if you are yet to press the subscribe button, please go ahead and do it. Thank you.